1965, began her career in St. Paul, Minnesota, where she worked with Children's Home Society, dedicating her efforts to improving the lives of countless children and families. Her passion for helping others led her to become a consultant in social services, where she continued to make a difference by guiding and supporting organizations in fulfilling their missions. In 1978, Mary transitioned her talent for communications and advocacy into a new arena, radio. She began producing and hosting a show called Thoughts on Living, and just 2 years later, the radio show evolved into the Mary Hanson Show, a groundbreaking cable television program which focused on health and social issues. The Mary Hanson Show quickly became a staple in American television and went on to earn the distinction of being the longest-running, independently produced cable television show in the United States. Throughout her years in radio and television, Mary has brought important conversations to the forefront, engaging with guests on topics that matter to all of us. Her show has garnered numerous awards on the local, state, and national level, a testament to the impact that it has on raising awareness and fostering dialogue around health and social issues. Tonight, we celebrate Mary's extraordinary career and her unwavering commitment to public service and her testament achievement in media. So please join me in welcoming and congratulating Mary Hafner Hanson.
She's going to ask us to stand. She's going to ask us to stand.
I get to turn that off. And I get to take that off. I'm still getting used to this oxygen. I have a rare lung disease, but I've had it since '94 at least, and I'm doing really great in spite of it. Well, it's great to be here. I'm telling you, this is such a humbling time for me. One of those things I wouldn't have expected. And when Hosea first called me, I said to him, I can't talk because we had a horrible phone connection. And he said, well, I just have something quick to share with you. No, I really can't talk. You'll have to call me back. I'm sure it was a little impatient sounding. He said, well, it just takes a minute. So then he told me about the award. I'm like, oh my goodness. I was shocked. But it's been kind of a look back memory lane to realize all the things that our class did in the early 60s and all the changes we've all experienced in life and our country. And I think of something that Dr. Olaf Fritz Westby taught those of us who were lucky enough to take his sociology class. And I'm wondering how many of you might have been in one of his classes? Anybody from that era? Not many. Julian, my grandson. He would like to have been with us. But Dr. Westby was one of those teachers that I think back and I think he made a great turning point kind of impact on my life, as did coming to Augie. I came here as a transfer and I hadn't been planning to come. I was going to Northern my first year. I was right across the street from the college. Half of my high school class went to Northern, and I had an aunt visiting, and she said, Mary, you need to spread your wings. You need to be going somewhere further away from home. And I'm like, well, I'm all signed up. I'm ready to go, back to school. She said, well, let me and your mother kind of do some checking around. Well, before you know it, I was accepted at Augie. And I'm like, whoa. I was very passive, I think, at that time. So anyway, it's been a unique path really ever since. And some of my friends today who are here, we were reminiscing, and I said, do you remember Erik Erikson's developmental stages? And some did, and some didn't. And I thought, I've been thinking of that 8th stage where Erickson talks about looking back at your life when you're at this end of it. And I've been doing that kind of consciously and unconsciously, and I keep thinking about the difference Augie made, because the minute I got here, I was a little nervous and anxious, the new kid, you know, and met another new kid that helped. But I guess within a week or two, I thought, I feel such a kinship with the kids here. And they seem to be like me in that they love to learn. And I'd always been one of those kids in high school that was like, well, what do you mean, you know, to the teacher? And, you know, plying the teachers with questions. And I thought, well, that's the kind of students that I'm meeting here already. And I think that the quality of kids really made a difference in the way I thought about life and approached life. So it's been a unique ride. I want to thank the friends and many who are here who took the time and energy to send in my name as a nominee. And I didn't know anything about it until after the committee decided. I want to thank the committee members and the college for even having this kind of event every year. For me, it's a real validation of kind of a life of service in a sense. I'm not in this job for the money. If any of you are in the world of cable and public TV, you know what that's like and why that is so. But I have felt like I had the best job in the world, and just was my whole 44 years so far, just been like feeling so up about my work. And friends say, well, you're 81 now, don't you want to retire? And I'm like, well, why would I want to leave a job that I feel is so impactful for others? And I get to provide, not that I'm doing anything except asking questions, and that's my forte. I mean, I love asking questions, and so it provides a forum, or kind of a platform for some of our top leaders, both some of national scope and some state, some Midwestern. And the topics, as you had said, range from social and health issues to a lot of interviews with leaders. And so it's been fun every week. If you can believe it, I still get extremely nervous before every taping night. I can't believe it. I'm like, oh my gosh, how long will I have to do this before I'm like, oh, it's no big deal, you know? I still get very, very nervous, like I am right now. I don't like to be in the spotlight, but my guests do, and they love to talk about what they're passionate about. And I think what I've learned from them is follow your dream. Life is too short if you're not doing what you love and what you feel has value and meaning for others. It's kind of, it's not right. It's not right for you personally. It's not right for our community. We need people to do things they love, because then we've got more energy, you know, to do it. And the rewards come in different ways. And this reward for me tonight is just one of those shots in the arm, you know, so I may go another 20 years, you know. I want to thank my family for putting up with this kind of workaholic approach. And I wondered if you would stand, my 2 grandsons and daughter and former husband.
I can attest to her ability to ask questions.
Oh, right. Oh, that's true, Gordy. Just real quick, a couple interviews that are pertinent here tonight. I've interviewed little tiny kids, middle-aged people, elderly people. And the youngest that is a standout in my eyes is a little boy when I hosted the wishing well at Abbott Northwestern Children's Hospital. It was a 1-hour interactive show, and the kids would call from their rooms. And I went to meet a little boy afterwards that had won a prize. His mind was strong. And I said to him, if you could be an animal, I said this during the show, what would you be, Everett? And he didn't pause, and he said, I'd be an eagle. And to know why that was bringing tears to my eyes when I heard it, he was quadriplegic, no arms, no legs. I mean, I guess that's not technically quadriplegic, but the effects of that. No arms, no legs, but this bright little boy with these shiny brown eyes. And it was like, oh my gosh, I know why you want to be an eagle. And then all the people in between. One of my favorite guests was Milos Forman, who directed and won the Academy Award for Amadeus and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And he talked about his early days with his family and how his parents were both killed and how he went back to film Amadeus. I mean, it was just gripping. And then a final interview just to mention is when Governor Elmer Anderson was near death in his, I think, early 90s. I got to interview him at his home. And he was blind and he was in a wheelchair, but again, his mind was still brilliant. And his wife was still smart as everything. And she would read to him every night. We were talking about reading, Barb. Every night she'd read to him. And he was still positive, even though his life had taken such a turn from being governor to being really housebound, but still having an impact. And at the end of the interview, I don't know quite how this happened, but I mentioned Eyesu Navan Gorvitavord, and he started saying it with me, and we said it together in unison, and it was so touching in a way. And he died about 3 weeks after the interview, but he had written to me and said, could we do another interview? And I thought, oh, I was definitely going to say to him, yes, but before I had written back, he died. And so those are just examples of why it keeps me going, you know, that kind of communication and getting to know people, such a range. So even though the funds are low and I'm kind of a one-man band, I do the promotion and the guest selection and the research and some of the editing, in terms of ideas on editing. So anyway, it's not an easy job, but I've gone over my time. I'm sorry, you guys. But thank you again for honoring me, and thank you to the committee. Thank you to all of you who were involved, and I'm very appreciative. So.
Thank you, Mary. Congratulations. Our second Alumni Achievement Award recipient has left a lasting impact on both the business community and broader